Hello everyone! Today we're going to be jumping back into Standard where I'm going to show you how to be successful with this 5-color humans deck. Now this is a little bit different than some of the other 5-color piles we may see where we have a heavy focus on legendary creatures. Now legendary creatures do have some very powerful effects, and there are some very strong reasons for including them. Let me go ahead and talk about some of the standout cards that we're looking at here. Now we do have Jodah the Unifier. This is an absolutely amazing card to have hit the battlefield. When we do, not only is that going to buff all of our other creatures, because we're having pretty much exclusively legendary creatures in this deck. There is one noteworthy non-legendary creature that we'll go over in just a second, and it's going to give us additional cascade value off of all of our legendary creatures. Now, speaking of that non-legendary creature cards that we have in our deck, we do have 2 copies of Coppercoat Vanguard. This is just going to protect our other humans and keep our opponents from using single target removal as efficiently as they possibly could. We only have 2 copies of this. The other cards that we have that are not human are our Animist Might. This is actually the only non-creature spell in the deck, and this is a very strong removal spell in this particular deck. One of the best combos here is, since the creature we control is dealing that damage, if we pair that with Shauna here, we're actually going to get lifelink off the Animist Might damage, which is a really great way to stabilize into aggressive decks. Now, if we're talking about some of our non-human cards, we also have Gwenna. Gwenna is an elf druid scout, so definitely not a human, but that ability to add 2 mana in any combination in colors can let us get Jodah out on the battlefield as early as turn 4. We do also have Skrelv as a very strong protection option. It is a legendary creature, so it will synergize with Jodah, but does not have that human type. Some of our other creatures all are going to do various things to help us. Thalia is fantastic since we only have 1 non-creature spell. Then it can help us hate on graveyards. Rona is going to help us cycle through our hand and find the things we need. Now we have Jarina. This is going to deal with our opponent's graveyard and can function to go ahead and protect all of our humans with Hexproof and Indestructible. Melira is also great with the prevalence of toxic decks within the meta, getting her out on the battlefield, not only as a 3/3 for 2 mana, which is a very strong body, but it is going to help us stay alive longer into those really aggressive toxic combo decks, and we can also exile her and bring back a creature once it dies, which is going to be really great for us. Going further through the deck, we've got a bunch of other inclusions. We do also have 1 copy of Edgar Charmed Groom. He is a vampire noble, so not a human, but definitely a legendary creature. This is really just here for that flip side. If our opponent's going a little bit crazy with the board wipes, able to keep us off everything, if we can land an Edgar, we can have those back and forth flipping and make sure that we get all those vampires on the battlefield as well, so we can continue to build up a board state. Now, if you guys have been enjoying my content so far, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button down below. Now let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, and here we go. This looks like a good starting hand. We're going to go ahead and keep this. If we're lucky, our opponent is playing a non-creature heavy deck. Make some good use out of these Thalias. Do you like it? We have some interaction with Animist Might, making our way up towards that Edgar, and we do have the spells to cast. They're going to start with the Headquarters, since that's going to enter tapped for us. Now we'll go Yavimaya Coast, play out Thalia. Now, Thalia may tax the Animist Might, but we are still in a very strong position if our opponent decides to play out a creature. Just going to go ahead and attack here. It looks like we're up against a ramp deck. Similarly, this might be 4-color Atraxa. Could be another 5-color pile as well. We're going to start by attacking here. We'll play out Edgar. Here's where we find out if our opponent's running counter magic. You can see them make disappear here. We do not. Edgar on the battlefield. Nope, Leyline Binding instead. That makes sense. I'm gonna hit Thalia with that, though. And Celestis, alright. So this is definitely a 5-color deck. We have a couple of different options for this turn, but I think at the top of my list is replaying this Thalia. Now that we know that our opponent only has 1 mana here, and Thalia is on the battlefield, we are perfectly safe from whatever our opponent's going to try and do here. Let's swing out, hit them with Edgar. Then we're going to play out the General here. Exile our opponent's empty graveyard, but that's not what she's here for. We can sacrifice her to give Hexproof and Indestructible to Thalia. That is going to be very strong. Again, we are ready if our opponent does play out a creature threat. We can deal 8 damage as long as we have Edgar. Okay, we'll just activate this. Make our opponent utilize even more resources. Looking good. Opponent and I are tied with 3 cards in hand. Invasion of Zendikar, that's fine. Can get some more lands. Right now we have a much stronger board state. My only fear is since our opponent has been playing so few creatures, I don't know if they are going to have a board wipe. It is very possible. I am going to play out this tower tapped. Alright. Hold up all this mana past the turn. Alright, Cruelty of Gix. Okay, so maybe it's a Reanimator style deck then? We'll see. One way or another, they've been severely lacking in the early game, which has given us a great chance of getting ahead. Yep, seems like we've got it. Okay, and here we are on the play. This looks like a pretty good starting hand as well. Don't feel bad about that. Gwenna's gonna fix our mana for creatures as well, which I do like. I'm gonna start with both of these thickets, getting them out here. Playing out Skrelv. Alright, Joda as well. We're gonna deal that damage with Skrelv. Give our opponent a poison counter. Next turn, we'll play out Gwenna, protect it with Skrelv. Best thing our opponent could do is kill Skrelv this turn, but they do not. Let's go Coast, Gwenna. We're gonna keep Skrelv because we want to play out Joda next turn. Of course, Joda is gonna let us untap Gwenna, which should let us play out either Lauren or Shauna as well. That's gonna let us Cascade for another legend as well. Alright, looking good. Perfect, couldn't have asked for anything better than that. Let's start with Joda here. Untap Gwenna. This is gonna let us play Shauna. Cascade into a Thalia, which we will also put out onto the battlefield. And we're gonna keep Skrelv up here, protect our Joda. We are in a fantastic spot. Now, opponent's gonna have to kill Skrelv. If they have double removal spells, they can do that. So what I'm gonna do here is pay that 2 life, give Joda protection from black, just in case. Thalia should stop any other spells from happening anyway, and we've got it! Alright, opponent going first. We have 2 Jodas in hand. I do kind of like this. We'll keep this. I want to see some more lands, but we are on the draw. We're going to start with the tower. Playing into a red deck. Okay. Fortunately for us, this seems like a little bit of a slower red deck. Let's go ahead and start with Thalia. This is at least going to pull some of the burn off of our face and onto Thalia. We'll see what they do. The fact that they didn't have any spell to cast turn 1 tells me they might be locked out of instants for this turn. Yep. No need to block there. We'll take the 1 damage. Alright, let's go for the Coppercoat Vanguard. Not only is this going to enable us to start hitting our opponent with Thalia, but it's going to make it even harder to remove her. There's now a tax of 2 mana on any targeted instant spell. Or I suppose even non-creature, so if they do have battles as well. That's going to cost 2 more mana to deal with. Yep. Okay, well that's about as good as that could have gone. Yep, Thalia has a ward cost. Block 1 here, because our opponent's sapped out. Now, unfortunately for us, we're not really drawn additional cards, but we do have Melira. Now, here's the fun thing about Melira. We can use Melira to get Thalia back if our opponent does manage to remove that. Our board is going to be very difficult to deal with, and they can't swing in without losing a Flame Breather. We're actually up on the damage as well. Surprisingly enough, we've had an incredibly aggro start. And even if we don't draw a land, we do have these Animist Mites, which we are capable of casting. Okay, this is fine. Yep. Opponent convokes to kill Melira. Alright, well. Let's just kill one of those. Opponent's down at 7. Now this might be Thalia's last turn on our board, but she has put in a lot of work. Yep. That's alright. Now we do draw a land. I'm almost wondering if we just play out the Skrelv here. Let's go for the land, play out Skrelv. Nope, no use using the Might just yet. We'll go ahead and wait. Yep. Opponent's low on cards. Okay, now we can use Animist Might to kill this with Skrelv. It's good to see our opponent tapped out. Alright, so let's go Melira. Kill that. Thank you, Skrelv. Okay. We have our opponent down at 2. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to deal 10 damage this turn. And as long as we have Skrelv, we can make the Coppercoat Vanguard unblockable and be able to deal that last 2 damage that we need. So our opponent is going to have to use their burn spell on our creature. If that happens, we'll have Melira to play out next. Yep. The fact that our opponent has had to use Stoke the Flames on something other than us 3 times already is absolutely amazing. Let's go for Melira. No attacks. End the turn here. Looking good, yep. Only 1 card in hand. Shattered Sanctum. Let's go ahead and pay the white. We're gonna pick red here. And we're gonna swing in for that 3. Good game. Okay, and here we are on the draw. This looks good to me. We'll go ahead and keep. Start with our tap land. Next turn, let's play out the Plaza, and I'm gonna go for the Coppercoat Vanguard here. Actually, the most okay with our opponent removing this. Yep, Infernal Grasp. That's fine. We paid 2 mana, they discarded a card and dealt 2 damage to themselves. Graveyard Trespasser, gonna hit the Vanguard. Sure. Okay, Courtyard on Human. Getting ever closer to being able to cast our Joda. Let's play out Skrelv this turn. Bloodtithe Harvester. Alright. Okay, removes nothing. We'll take the 3 here. Not a problem. Now we can blow up the blood token. Nope, never mind. They're gonna draw and discard Atali in the graveyard. Okay. Takanuma. Go for Shauna. No attacks. So we do want to be on the lookout for a reanimation effect out of our opponent. 1 more mana, we can play out Joda. That's going to be really strong, especially with Shauna here. Okay, they exile Atali for that 1 damage. I'm perfectly fine with that. Ah, Brotherhood's End. I see. That makes sense. Well, let's go ahead and play out our Joda. Alright, well, let's do some cascading. Let's start here. Like that, we hit a Skrelv. I would much rather grab the Skrelv out of our deck than play the one that's in our hand. And let's play out our Lauren. If our opponent had removal for Joda, I'd imagine they would have used it already. We hit a Denic. That's fine. Yep, submit 0. Gonna keep all this alive. Okay, attacking with Joda. Sure, big score. Now, notably, Denic is going to shut down any graveyard shenanigans that our opponent's going to try and do here. And we're outside of range for Brotherhood's End. Okay, so they draw the removal spell for Joda. That's fine. Okay. First and foremost, let's move to combat. I want to keep Skrelv back. Down 2-5. Let's play out an Edgar here. Looking good, we'll end the turn. Now we are in a very strong position. Looks good, yep. Edgar's gonna stay out of range of a Brotherhood's End or another board wipe like that. Can't say the same for our other cards. End of our opponent's turn, we can have them draw with Lorne to draw an additional card. Okay, so they want access to their graveyard. Interesting. Let's go protection from black. Let's turn that off. Okay, Graveyard Trespasser. Looks good. And we've got it. Alright, on the play, and this looks pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and keep. Opponent's thinking about their hand still. Alright, let's go with the Coast. Play out Skrelv. Alrighty. Next turn, I think we're gonna just play out our Thalia. Keep Skrelv to protect the Thalia. Hopefully the tax is gonna let us get out a nice Gwenna next turn. Gwenna's gonna lead into Joda. Everything's lining up pretty well for us. Yep. Alright, gonna go for the Gwenna here. Swing out with Thalia. Opponent with the Plaza of Heroes tells me that they're probably playing an Esper Legends deck. Yeah, there's the white land. Let's see if they actually get out a creature this turn. Sure. Looking good. So next turn we have Joda off Gwenna. When we untap Gwenna, we can play out Malira. Okay. We get the Courtyard. We're gonna pick Human. Let's go ahead and cast Joda here. It's a sizable buff. Let's go ahead and play out Lauren. See what we hit. It's another Thalia. We'll decline that. Submit 0. Now we'll swing in with Thalia. We have Skrelv to protect. Opponent may choose to block here. They do not. Okay. We are showing lethal on board, so things are looking very good for us. We'll be able to protect Joda with Skrelv. Sure. Pay 2 life. Pick black. If they have 2 removal spells, that's fine, but it looks like they don't. 1 mana left. They don't have an instant they can interact with us with. They're gonna have to chump block, and we've got it. Alright, here we are on the draw. Now this isn't terrible. We are going to be able to cast Vanguard, Thalia, and Shauna here. We'll go ahead and keep. Gonna need a black source for Edgar once we eventually get up there. Okay, well, Duress. Opponent just takes a look at our hand. That feels fine. Okay, we do have Secluded Courtyard. We can play the Courtyard on Vampire if we need to cast the Edgar. But that's, of course, going to be our last resort. It's going to be much better to play the Courtyard on Human. That way, we're going to be set up for a Joda if we do get there. Okay, Tenacious Underdog. Let's go here. We're going to pick Human, play out Thalia. Llanowar Waste is a much better black source for Edgar. Thalia is going to be a good blocker for the Tenacious Underdog as well. Maybe stop our opponent from attacking this turn. Next turn, we'll have 2 choices. I think we're going to go with the Vanguard. But we'll see. If our opponent has a removal spell, they likely would have used it here. We're going to pick Human again. Go for the Vanguard. And no attacks. We're going to just keep disincentivizing the underdog from attacking as we build out our board. Next turn, it's going to be the play Edgar turn. I'm going to lose 2 life off the wastes. Slow and steady building up a strong board state. We could also go Shauna. I am interested to see what our opponent does here. Alright. So maybe they have that domain board wipe. Do I want to keep Edgar to cascade off Joda? Probably. I think to dodge the board wipe, which is likely coming, we're going to go ahead and hang on to everything until we can cast out Joda. We'll swing here. Now, there is a chance that our opponent has no way to wipe our board, and if that's the case, we're going to be sitting just fine. But there has to be some reason why they want access to the plains and island. Could be a leyline binding angle. It's possible. Now next turn, I think we just play out Joda. give all of our legendary creatures +3/+3. It's going to be very strong, gaining some life off Shauna. Seems like our opponent's also missing a land drop. Yep. Alright, well, let's go pre-combat Joda. We may lose some life, but we're about to gain a bunch more. Now they can double block and kill Shauna here. That works for me. Cannot kill Thalia. Yep, that's the double block. That's fine. We may lose Shauna, but we gain 7 life, back up at 23. We do have lethal on board, so our opponent's gonna need a way to deal with this. Sure, cut down the Vanguard. This is 11 damage, so I'm just gonna move straight to combat and go for it. Yeah, we've got it. Okay, so as we saw, 5-color humans grab some of the best options that we have across all of the colors and synergizes them all together to create some very powerful board states that can easily overwhelm our opponent. Now, we do run into some issues if our opponents are able to stabilize against us, keep our board clear, and prevent us from landing any of those threats. That being said, though, overall, we have a very resilient game plan and lots of ways at actually protecting our creatures, making it very difficult for our opponent to interact with non-counterspell based ways of stopping us from getting our cards out on the board. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you have any ideas for other decks you'd like to see me play, why don't you go ahead and let me know down in a comment below. I'll see you all next time.